During this last week, I've had so much uncertainty and busyness because I've moved house. At times, I wanted to give up. So I kept reminding myself small, consistent steps, rest, and begin again. But feel like my head was saying bullshit in response because I was so tired and cranky. How do you stick to the teachings and apply them even when the ego is trying to undermine them? Thank you for the question. So my answer to that would be the ego will always undermine whatever is present or the present moment, right? So it's always trying to keep us in the comfort zone, even though this is not comfortable, being tired and cranky. In other words, it'll try and keep you away from change, basically. In this instance, the answer I would give is, if you're exhausted, if you're tired, you just need a rest. Like the body just needs sleep. Sometimes I just find that that's what you've just got to do. Like you've just got to respond to that and, use up that time that you've got, because maybe the thing that you're doing, is a certain stint of time, a short stint of time, and it's going to be a few days or a week or a few weeks, right? So whatever the thing is that we're doing, and that, like, okay, I'm just exhausted, I can't do anything else but rest and take care of this thing, this project, this task. And so in that case, then you just have to give yourself what you need, right? So it goes back to the basic needs of like food and sleep, hydration. And I find personally for me, it's difficult to function when I've not had enough sleep. And I'm sure there's enough studies now that give us the proof, right? The scientific proof that not having slept enough, it's like trying to operate with a brain that is drunk, right? It's like difficult to focus, it's difficult to make any decisions, leave alone empowering decisions. So it's hard to function, and you kind of just have to take care of that first. Also, the other part of it is sometimes, you can go through a stint of, personally, I'll speak for myself, I can go through a stint of like less sleep for a little while and just, push through the project or the task. And then I know on the other end of it, I am going to get more rest. Like I'll make up for it and actually catch up and give my body what it needs. So I think there is no shortcut to sleep. If you need sleep, then you need sleep. If the body needs sleep, then you just have to give it that. There is no kind of like techniques around that. Meditation certainly helps. I've had the experience, I think I've shared with you guys. That was a period when I was meditating, 2 hours, and then I went up to like 4 hours. And because of our meditations, we go into theta brainwave. What I found was 4 hours of sleep and 4 hours of meditation seemed to work for a period of time. I wasn't trying to sleep less. I wasn't trying to prove anything. It literally was like 2:30 to like 4:30 in the morning I would be up. And I'm like, okay, what should I do now? So I would just sit and meditate. And my body, would drop into deep rest. But again, I wouldn't recommend that as a replacement for sleep. Like I don't think you should replace sleep with meditation, because sleep is sleep, like you need it. The body just goes through its rest and digest functions, its healing functions. The brain needs it, like the body just needs it. So you just have to give it that. But I think as far as like, if you're asking about teachings and how do you keep the ego in check, the ego is always going to do its job. And I want to say it's going to keep us in our comfort zone, but actually the comfort zone is what's uncomfortable. Sometimes short term, a lot of times long term, it's uncomfortable because it keeps us away from the change that we want to make, the goals that we're going for. It keeps us in not just comfort zone, but away from the change. Like it keeps us away from making a change in our lives. So in this instant, you're talking about moving homes. Obviously, it's a big change. It's going to try and fight everything and put things in the way, like obstacles in the way. So it's just kind of how it functions. We know it well. So, I think after you've given yourself enough sleep, then the next part of it is, then I'd look to the practices. It's like, even if you can afford few minutes of meditation, few minutes of practice, that's going to make a difference, right? So clarity of mind, just being in a much more kind of calmer, peaceful state. Probably, you're going to have to make lots of little decisions as you're doing your moving. And also the body's going to be probably exhausted and stiff and tired, so it's going to feel good to stretch. And sometimes the thing that seems counterproductive, like a bit of rest, or going for a walk, or having the meal, having the extra, whatever minutes or hour of sleep, we don't give ourselves that, and then we actually pay the price. We suffer. We're less productive. It's difficult to be productive because, like I said before, the brain is kind of drunk because it hasn't had enough sleep. So we're trying to function with like half a brain, and make things happen, which is even harder. So that would be my answer to that. I don't know if there's any kind of detail there that I'm missing. It seemed like a pretty straightforward question. So that would be my answer to that. I think it's okay to, fall off the wagon, to sometimes, you're doing a stint that you're just going to have to, shift things around a little bit during that stint until you get through it, get past it, then you can go back to your routines. And as far as like falling off routines, we all fall off our routines. We all fall off. The routines are there just as a foundation, a solid foundation underneath us, so that for me it feels like, when the days get crazy, it's like the ground underneath me is moving like quicksand, and the practices, the yoga, the meditation, in our case, gives me that foundation underneath, so that it feels like I'm standing on solid ground, not quicksand, as I move through the day, metaphorically speaking, of course. So, it's not a thing, it's not another beating stick, that we use to punish ourselves, like, I didn't do the thing. It's like, it's okay, like we all fall off the thing, the practice, just get back on, just start again. And if it's been a while, then you're going to have to start back maybe with smaller increments, right? Like smaller amounts, and then increase it little by little, which I find is a good way to create a habit. We're coming up into New Year soon, in a couple of weeks. Most of us are busy with Christmas, so we haven't even thought about New Year yet. But New Year is coming. And around about this time, we get into, our goals and intentions for the year. And we start again. And we want to get into certain habits. And I found an effective way to create habits or get back into good habits is to start small. Rather than get up off your couch and run a marathon in one day and then give up because it didn't work. It's better actually just to go for a walk around the block, a little jog, and then slowly increase it. So just like that with the meditation and the practice, if you're starting again, then start with small increments and then increase it little by little. Because that way, rather than punishing yourself, you can actually just reward yourself every time, or acknowledge yourself. Like, wow, I did 5 minutes, and today I did 7 minutes, and today I did 9 minutes or 10 minutes, and little by little you can start to increase it. As you hit kind of little plateaus, you can stay, let it shift, and then keep increasing that limit, the ceiling. And therefore the growth, right? Like the expansion that we experience in our routines. And the routines are only there as much as to create this foundation, to allow us to be in a centered, calm, powerful, present place within ourselves, so that we can actually move through the day, and whatever the day brings us, and the challenges that it throws us, we're able to handle it from a much more centered, powerful place within. So there you go.